Hey guys, this is your trainer Anirudh Chhillar. So I'm back with another video of EIGRP. I hope you're learning in a good way and in good pace. Let's go.
Configure it carefully. Fine, I have removed it now once again. So now I hope that you have understood that how this summarization is critical for your network. Let's move again on switch 3, and this time I will be configuring the summary address on switch 3 itself, because switch 3 is advertising all these prefixes individually, right? So let's do configuration only on FA0 by 0 of switch 3. So move on switch 3 is FA0 by 0, IP summary address EIGRP 100, and then summary address for all these prefixes 90.1.0.0, 245.245.2 for 8.0. And in EIGRP, as I said, that whenever there will be any summary address, whether it was configured by you or it was generated by your device automatically, it will always put that entry towards null interface in its local routing table. So let me show you on switch 3 itself for all these 90s prefixes. Null 0 is not it, and for this prefix you will also find its AD value as 5. So IP route 90.1.0.0 255.245.248.0 was that. It does not mean that this AD value 5 will remain on all other devices as well. No. If you move on switch 1, because switch 1 is receiving this prefix as internal prefix, and for all internal prefixes by default AD value is what? 90. So remember that AD value will be 5 for summary address, but only for that router, only on that device where you configured that summary address. So here you can see that its AD value is what? 90. I will also teach you that why is it really necessary to configure its AD value as 5 for summary address on that device where you configured your summarization. It is mandatory actually. It's not that configuring its AD value as 5 without any reason. No, there are some technical reasons, so that it is configuring its AD value as 5 for that summary address which you configured on device. Fine. So this is that how can you reduce total number of routes in EIGRP by using summarization. So previously, as you saw that on switch 4 we were getting all prefixes individually in the series of 90s networks, 90s prefixes, but now you are receiving only and only summary address. Then after, let's do one more thing over here on switch 3. We can also do one thing. We can remove it from here, and I will try to configure it in different manner, now, so that we can achieve something different here with using summarization. Now, actually, I wanted to configure summarization, but along with summarization, what I want that for 90.1.1.5.0/24 only for this prefix, right? And I don't have the console access of this switch 3, so we cannot configure summarization on switch 3 now. We do not have the access of console of switch 3. We are having the access of switch 1 only. So you have to configure summarization on switch 3. Sorry, switch 1. You are having the console of switch 1 only, not switch 3. So because all these 90s prefixes are coming individually, are coming separately from switch 3 to switch 1, and then further switch 1 is advertising them towards all others, right? Fine, that's true. But now this time you are required to configure summarization on switch 1, right? So you will configure summary address on its FA0 by 0 as well as FA0 by 1. But along with this summarization, what I want that for this specific prefix 90.1.5.0, for all routers, preferred path must be via R6 only. Are you getting my point? You must configure summary address for all prefixes on switch 1, but also make sure that only for this specific prefix 90.1.5.0, the preferred path for all other routers lane users must be via R6. How can you achieve it? For this we are having here leak map. To achieve these types of tasks, we are having leak map. What can we do? We can configure summary address for all prefixes on FA0 by 0 as well as on FA0 by 1. Of course, summary address summarization will be done successfully, right? And this 90.1.5.0 will also be part of that summary address. But along with configuration of summary address on FA0 by 0, what can you do? You can configure leak map, and in leak map you can leak this prefix only individually on /24 itself. You can leak this prefix particularly along with your summary address. So what will happen now, that for all other routers based on longest prefix match, the best path to reach this subnetwork 90.1.5.0 will always be via R6. And in case if R6 goes down, then these old routers will still keep on to receive this 90.1.5.0's information in the form of summary address via R3, because here on FA0 by 1 also you will configure summary address, is not it? So in this way you can manipulate your path selection with using summarization. Along with summarization, you can use leak map just to perform path manipulation. This is the only uses of leak map in EIGRP. Again, I'm gonna to teach you this method, or this I'm just repeating my previous lines. If someone asks you to configure summarization on switch 1 for all 90s prefixes, of course you will configure it on FA0 by 1 and 0 by 0, and then switch 1 will advertise only and only summary address towards all other routers in this diagram, is not it? But along with this, we were also having another requirement, that only for 90.1.5.0 subnetwork, from all other routers in this EIGRP domain, the preferred path must be via R6 only. To achieve that, here we can use leak map, and let me configure it now. So right now switch 4 is receiving all prefixes individually here. Fine. Do one thing, move on switch 1. On switch 1's FA0 by 1, say IP summary address EIGRP 100 and then 90.1.0.0 to 245.248.0. Fine. Then just come outside, you have to configure summary address on FA0 by 0, but along with that you have to configure leak map. So in leak map you will call that prefix to whom you want to advertise individually, along with summary address. So you do one thing, say access list 10 permit, just match your that individual prefix only. So that was 90.1.5.0. create one route map with the name of permit, match IP address is what, 10, because I created ACL with the number 10. Then route, then here you do one thing, go to interface FA0 by 0, IP summary address EIGRP 100, and it was 90.1.0.0 to 248.248.0, and then leak map, and leak map name is what, leak. So this time you have configured the summarization, the summary address on both interfaces of this switch 1 on FA0 by 1 as well as 0 by 0. On FA0 by 1 I didn't configure any leak map, but on FA0 by 0 I configured the summary address along with leak map. So you do one thing, again move on switch 4, you will see that it will be receiving summary address as well as this 90.1.5.0 individually, right? So now you do one thing, trace route 90.1.1, you are going via switch 2 R5 R3 switch 1 and then switch 3. But if you trace route 90.1.5.1. You have to go through via it's not it. So it is going via R6 only to reach this destination actually. So in this way you can perform path manipulation with using summarization. So in summarization you can also use link map. Apart from it, let me show you some other things as well. Like, let's move again on switch 1 and remove this command from here, from FA0/1 also remove this command. You understand? So again I have removed this summarization. So this R1 is gonna to receive all these 90s prefixes. See, where is this R1? This is R1 has to receive all these 90s prefixes, is not it? And by default it will be receiving only and only, by default it will receive all prefixes from 90s trees individually, because we have not configured summarization on any router, right? And by default its best path to reach all these 90s prefixes is via R6. Fine. Now with using summarization only, you have to achieve one task. You have to perform one task, that for first three prefixes only, 90.1.0.0/24, 90.1.1.0/24, 2.0/24, 3.0. But out from these four subnets we are having only three subnets here: 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. For first three prefixes, its best path should be, hello, are you getting a point or not? Its best path should be via R3. Do one thing, on R6 FA0/0 configure summarization for first three prefixes. Are you getting my point or not? Configure summarization for first three prefixes only, like for 90.1.0/24, 90.1.2.0/24, 90.1.3.0/24. Configure summary address for these three prefixes on R6 FA0/0. So based on, because R1 will still keep on to receive all these prefixes coming from R3 individually on /24. So based on longest prefix match for R1, its best path to reach all these 90s prefixes will become via R3. And in case if R3 goes down, then definitely of course R1 will keep on to receive this summary address via R6. So you do one thing, move on R6 now. On its FA0/0 IP summary address EIGRP 100, then 90.1.0.0 245 and then tell me, is not it? In this range now you will see that first three prefixes will come. Now you do one thing, move on R1 once again, check for 90s prefixes. First three prefixes have learnt via. So if you trace route 150.1, sorry, if you trace route 90.1.1, sorry, you are going via R3. If you trace route 4.1, then definitely you will go via R6. Have you understood it or not? Even in case if R3 goes down, on R3 we can shut down, or on R1 itself we can shut down this S0/1. Move on R1, go to S0/1 and shut it down. Show IP route. If still it is receiving that summary address, oh, you see, but these are coming individually via because R3 is giving it to R5 and R5 is giving it to, and then finally R4 is giving it to R1. But again, you have learned it, right, that R1 is still having all these prefixes, right? You do one thing, move on R4 and shut down its FA0 by 1 as well for some time only. Again move on R1, it will break its neighborship with R4, but still you will see that it will keep on to receive the summary address for first three prefixes via R6. Swipe it out, and now if you say trace route 90.1.1, of course you will go via R6. Is not it? Now in case if its serial 0 by 1 comes up, then again its best path will become via R3 only. So I hope that now you have understood the uses of summarization in EIGRP. With using summarization, of course you are reducing to total number of routes available in your router's routing table. Along with that, you can also perform path manipulation. Understood? Again, if you trace route it, you will see that you are going via R3. Fine. Now let me show you some problems due to summarization in EIGRP, and let me prove it. Let me make you understand that why do we have its AD value as 5 for that summary address entry in its local routing table towards null interface, right? I will show you each and everything. See, this time do one thing, move on R6, FA 0 by 0, and then remove this summary address from here. And again you will see that R1 will start to receive all these prefixes coming individually from R6 as well as from R3. But based on metric, for R1 its best path will become via R6 only, as you can see here on R3 as well. Sorry, on R1. Its best path to reach all 90s prefixes must be by R6 only. Fine. Good. Now you decided that okay, for all 90s prefixes the best path should be via R3 only. Let's say there is some requirement, so that according to those requirements for all 90s prefixes, best path from R1 should be via R3, and you have to achieve it with using summarization only. You are not allowed to use any other method, because you can also achieve it by modifying its AD value, by using offset list as well. But here you are allowed to use only summarization. So you decided that okay, let's do one thing, let's configure summarization for all prefixes on R6 FA 0 by 0. Are you getting my point or not? So now you moved on R6 on FA 0 by 0 and IP summary address EIGRP 190.1.0.0 245.245.248.0. Now R6, on R6 we have configured summarization or summary address on its FA 0 by 0. Now I will show you that for R1 its best path will be via. Are you getting my point or not? So you see, it have received the summary address coming from 6, but also it have learnt all those prefixes coming from its neighbors individually on /24. Any problem? Fine. So its best path will become via R3 now. For all prefixes belongs to 90s range. Done. Because this R1 has learnt this summary address from R6 only, it have not learnt it. I mean, it didn't learnt it from R3. So because it didn't learn from R3 this summary address, so definitely R1 will advertise this prefix information towards R3. Is not it? So now R3 must learn this summary address from R1. Let me show you. Because this is the behavior of distance vector routing protocol, that if you are having any best path information, then you have to advertise it towards your neighbor. So you can see here that it is receiving the summary address from R1. Guys, try to understand it. R3 has learned it via R1. R1 got it from R6. Then R3 can also advertise it in the direction of fine. Let's move on switch 1 now. Switch 1 must also receive it, must also accept it. You see, switch 1 will accept it via R3 because it received it from R3. Then switch 1 can give it back to switch 3. Is not it? Can give it back to what? Lost?
It will not.
Why? Why will it not give it to our switch 3? Because switch 1 received it from R3, and according to the distance vector routing protocol, it must advertise its best path information to switch 3 now. So you can move on switch 3.
Do we have to create subnet switch 1 or R6?
We configured on R6.
In case of switch 1 it was.
Of course, if you would have configured summarization on switch 1, then of course in that case it will never accept this summary address. It will never install it via R3. But this time, because we didn't configure it on switch 1, that's what I wanted to show you, that if you configure the summary address on an unappropriate place, on unappropriate router, it can cause a big problem in your network. Now you will see switch 1 has again learnt it via R3, and then switch 1 can give it back to switch 3. You must receive that summary address coming from. However, all these prefixes are directly connected with this router, but still for its own prefixes it is receiving summary address. And if switch 1 have given it back to switch 3, it means switch 1 will also advertise it in the direction of R6 as well. Are you getting my point or not? Switch 1 will also advertise it in the direction of R6 as well. Guys, try to understand. So if it advertises it in the direction of R6, now R6 will receive it. But it didn't install the summary address in its routing table via, tell me, switch 1. You know why? Switch 1 is giving this update to R6, but R6 will not accept it. You know why? Because it is also having, R6 is also having same prefix
Because of AD.
with lower AD value. Because in received prefix, because see, this R6 is also receiving the same prefix coming from switch 1, but it is not going to accept that prefix and is not going to install that inside its own routing table due to AD value. Because for this prefix its AD value is what? 5. And for received prefix its AD value was 90. So you do one thing, make it 91 for now. For its own entry, make its AD value as 91. We can change it, right? As you can see, show IP route 90.1.0, sorry, 90.1.0.0 245.248.0. AD value is 5. Interface FA0 by 0, and then go to some here and summary address along with, just remove it and then say IP summary address EIGRP 100 90.1.0.0 245.248.0, and then you can define your AD value and make it 91. Say wow. Understood? This time it has accepted that prefix coming from switch 1, because for its own, for previous entry, previously it was having its AD value as 5 for that null entry, right? But this time we have configured it as 91. So based on, because prefix length is common, and then it will compare, tell me AD value. So based on AD value, it have preferred it via, it have installed this summary address via switch 1 now, and then R6 will keep on to give the summary address information to R1, as you can move on R1 as well. Swipe it out, let me show you. It will keep this default, the summary address coming from and then it will give it to R3. R3 will give it to, and switch 1 is giving it to switch 3 as well as R6, and then R6 is giving it back to R1. Now, fine. It has happened in your network now. Let's assume it. And any one of the loopback from 90s prefixes, hello, from 90s prefixes, let's say that any one of the loopback has gone down. Any one of the network, subnetwork has gone down on switch 3. Loopback 1 shut down. But there will not be any problem. You know why? Because the switch 3 is gonna switch 3 will not advertise this prefix to switch 1, but switch 3 is still advertising all other prefixes rather than 90.1.1.0/24, right? Apart from that prefix, it is still advertising all other prefixes. So switch 3 will give all those prefixes to switch 1. Switch 1 is giving it to R6, but on R6 you configure summary address. But if any one of the prefix, any one of the subnet from the summary address has gone down, it does not mean that your router will stop to originate summary address. It does not mean that your router will stop to generate summary address. Your router will still keep on to advertise that summary address, right? So R6 will still keep on to advertise that summary address in the direction of R1. R1 will advertise it in the direction of R3. R3 will advertise it in the direction of switch 1, and switch 1 will advertise it in the direction of R6. Now, from R1, as you can see that it is receiving the summary address coming from R6. Fine. Now, if you trace route 90.1.1, so because it is receiving this prefix from R6, so it will give this data to the R6. Now, R6 is not having any entry towards null 0. It received this prefix from switch 1, so it will give it to switch 1, and switch 1 received it from R3, it will give it to R3. R3 received it from R1, it will give it back to R1, and then R1 will give it to R6. So let me show you now. You see, there is a routing loop now. Because sometimes this route is existing there, sometimes this route is not there. But you can say that there is a routing loop. You know why? Because you see, it is giving to R6. R6 has given it to, and then switch 1 further have given it to, and then it is coming back to. Have you understood it or not?
So that's the end of today's video, guys. So we'll be coming back with few more videos of EIGRP. I hope you learned something new today. So if you like this video, please subscribe my channel. That's @ARC_tutorial. Thank you so much, guys. See you later.